One day, a boy named Mochizuki Tuya finds himself sitting in front of the ruler of his world, and the ruler apologizes to him because he accidentally transferred him from his world by mistake. The ruler is surprised that Tuya is calm even after hearing that, so Tuya tells him maybe it's because the whole thing doesn't feel real yet, it feels like just a dream, and there's no point crying over something that already happened and ended. He then asks him, what's going to happen to me next? So the ruler tells him he can't return him to the same world, but he can transfer him to another world because those are the rules. Tuya agrees without hesitation or anger, and that's because his grandfather raised him to forgive others. So the ruler asks him if there's anything he can do as compensation, and Tuya takes out his phone and asks if he can use it in the new world. The ruler tells him okay, I'll modify it so you can use it there, and you'll be able to charge it with magic. Tuya is surprised that the world he's going to is a magical one, and he asks him if the phone will still be connected to his old world. The ruler tells him he won't be able to interact directly with the old world, but he'll still be able to follow the news there, and he'll also adjust it so he can call him too. Then Tuya wakes up in the new world and starts thinking about how he'll manage in a place he knows nothing about. Suddenly, his phone rings and it's the ruler, who tells him he modified the map on the phone to suit the world he's in now. Tuya opens the map and heads to the nearest city, and on his way, he thinks about how he'll get by in that city without money. A carriage passes by him and suddenly stops, and someone gets down and excitedly tells Tuya, your clothes are amazing, can I buy them from you? Tuya goes with him to his clothing shop to change, and he notices he can't read what's written on the shop's sign. After changing clothes and getting the money from the merchant, he asks him if there's a nearby inn. The merchant describes a place called Silver Moon Inn. Tuya opens the map and finds out that the shop he was in is called Xanax Fashion Kingdom. On his way to the inn, he hears two thieves in an alley cornering two girls. They say the scratch on this product lowers its value to just 1 silver coin. One of the girls gets angry and tells him it's not enough, give me the product back. The thieves refuse, and at that moment, Tuya steps in and tells the girls, I can buy the product for 1 gold coin. The girl agrees, and Tuya grabs a rock and throws it at the product, breaking it while it's in the thief's hands. The thieves get angry and attack him. Tuya remembers when the ruler gave him some power to help him survive in the new world. He feels like the thieves' attacks are very slow, so he defeats one, and one of the girls beats the other. Afterward, he gives them the gold coin as agreed, and Tuya regrets breaking the product just to distract them, but he didn't know they'd be that easy to beat. They thank him and introduce themselves as Els Siluesca and Linza Siluesca, they're twins. He tells them his name is Mochizuki Tuya. They think his name is Mochizuki and his family name is Tuya, but he tells them it's the opposite. They're surprised and ask him if he's from Isan. He's confused by the question since he still doesn't know anything about this world, but he tells them yes, and that he's looking for the Silver Moon Inn. They're surprised because that's the same inn they're staying in, and they take him with them. After that, they tell him what happened with the thieves who took the product. Els tells her sister that they should probably take jobs from the Adventurers Guild next time. Tuya asks them if he can come with them, he has to look for a job anyway. Els tells him of course, they'll show him the way as a thank you. The next day, Tuya goes with them and gets upset because he can't read the task board. When Els asks him if he found any good quests, he tells her actually, I don't know how to read. Linza finds a quest to defeat monsters in the forest, and Els tells Tuya they could be a team. Tuya agrees but says he doesn't have a weapon. They then go to buy him a weapon and prepare their plan to fight the monsters. After that, they go to fight wolves. Els uses metal gloves, and Tuya uses his sword. Then Linza uses fire magic and Tuya is amazed by her. They return to the guild and hand in the wolf horns they collected, so the receptionist stamps their cards for completing the quest and gives them the reward. Afterward, Els thanks Tuya for helping them and tells him that without him, they wouldn't have succeeded in the quest. Linza tells him it's the first time she's seen a man who could match her sister's strength. Tuya asks them to teach him how to read and write so he can manage in this world. Els tells him Linza will teach him since she's smart and good at explaining. He then asks her if she can teach him how to use magic. Els asks him in surprise if he has the aptitude. Linza adds that people without aptitude can't use magic no matter how hard they try. Tuya remembers that the ruler told him he could use magic, and he asks them if there's a way to know his aptitude. Linza takes out the spell stones that amplify, store, and release magical energy. She holds the water element stone since it's the easiest one and demonstrates it in front of him. Els takes the stone and tells him, by the way, I don't have the aptitude to use water magic, so if I try to use the stone, it won't respond. Linza tells him that even though her sister can't use water magic, she uses protection magic, and she herself can't use that. Everyone has magical energy, but without the aptitude, they can't use any spell. Tuya takes the stone and tries it, and a strong burst of water comes out. So they go outside to another place to try the rest of the elements and not destroy the inn. He tries fire and it works, then earth and it works too, as well as wind, light, and darkness. They ask him in surprise, "Who are you exactly?" It's the first time we see someone who can use all 6 elements. Tuya spots a strange white stone and asks her what it is. She tells him that it's a spell stone for null magic, and it's special because it doesn't have a fixed spell. He asks her how to use it. She tells him like her sister, who uses it for protection spells, and others use it to boost strength. And there's a rare spell called Gate that allows you to teleport between places. He asks them how to know what type of null magic he can use. Els tells him that at some point, the name of the spell will just come to him by chance. Linza tells him that null magic is also called personal magic, and it's rare for someone to be able to use the same spell as someone else. Tuya grabs the stone and tries the Gate spell because it's the one that caught his attention the most. Suddenly, the spell activates and Tuya looks through the gate and sees the same forest they were in earlier. Linza tells them that the Gate spell allows the user to teleport to places they've been to before. They return to the inn and Els tells him, "I still can't believe you can use all the elements. There's definitely something weird about you." Tuya feels like they're praising him because of cheating, and they're interrupted by Mika, the innkeeper, who's with a girl working at a nearby cafe named Enro. Enro asks them to help her choose a new item to add to the cafe menu since Tuya is a tourist from another town and might know new recipes. Tuya asks her what kind of item she wants to add. She tells him something light and sweet that would appeal more to women. Tuya thinks about ice cream and checks the preparation method on his phone. Linza asks him what's that. He replies that it's a magical tool and only he can use it, so he hopes they don't focus on it. He gives her the ingredients and teaches her how to make it. They love it, and Els and Linza grow even more curious about Tuya. The next day, they receive a request to deliver a letter to the royal capital, and on their way, Tuya takes a picture of Els while she's sleeping. On their way, they stop in a town for a break, and they think about looking for an inn to stay in the town. Tuya says, "Wouldn't it be better to use the Gate spell and go back to Silver Moon?" They tell him no. It's better to visit new places as long as they're in a new town. Then they see a crowd gathered around a girl fighting some men because she defeated their friends and handed them to the guards. They notice the girl is wearing a samurai outfit, and the men attack her, but she defeats them one by one. However, she starts to feel weak from hunger, and just before someone attacks her from behind, Tuya uses the sandstorm spell, restrains him, and kicks him. Els has to jump in and fight with him, so Tuya grabs the samurai girl and they all run away. She thanks them for saving her and tells them her name is Kokono Ye, and Ye is her first name while Kokono is her family name. They're surprised, and Tuya asks her if she's from Isan. She says yes, and he tells her his name, so she gets excited because he's also from Isan like her. He panics and tells her no, he's from another country that's similar to it. The twins are shocked because he had told them earlier that he was from Isan. He changes the topic and tells Ye she looks tired, so she tells them she lost all her travel supplies. They hear her stomach growl, so they take her to a restaurant to eat. She tells them she's traveling to improve her martial arts skills and that her family has produced generations of warriors, but she chose to travel to develop her abilities. Coincidentally, she's also heading to the capital, so they decide to go together. On the way, Linza gives Tuya a book with most of the known null magic spells because she understood that he can use any spell as long as he knows its name and its details. She tells him the book has a lot of spells because, as she mentioned, null magic is personal magic, so the number of types equals the number of users. Even so, elemental magic can only be used by certain people, so very few use null magic, and most spellbooks are just collections made by enthusiasts. Tuya notices that despite the many kinds of spells, most of them aren't useful, like a spell that makes hair curly or one that makes animals friendly. Els tells him you never know when they might come in handy, and there's no harm in learning them all. He finds a spell that pulls objects from afar and tries it, but it doesn't work. Els asks him, "What did you try to pull?" He says he thought Ye would be surprised if he pulled her sword, so she tells him maybe it's too heavy, try something light. He tries again and pulls Ye's hair tie, and says this spell is really useful. We could use it to steal money or gems. They tell him not to do that. He gets nervous and tells them he's just thinking. Of course, he won't do it. He then finds a spell that enhances the senses, and suddenly, he smells blood and tells Ye to head toward it. When they arrive, they find knights fighting giant monsters, so they help and defeat all the monsters. Suddenly, their leader appears, and they discover someone is using summoning magic and is the one bringing the monsters. Tuya uses the no-friction spell on him, making him fall to the ground, and Ye ties him up. The soldiers thank them for saving them and say 7 of their comrades died. Suddenly, they hear a girl screaming and rush to the carriage, finding her servant, named Lim, injured with an arrow. Tuya tells Linza to use healing magic. She replies sadly that it won't work because the arrow is stuck in his body. Even if she used healing magic, the foreign object would stay inside. The girl starts crying, and Lim tells her it's time to say goodbye. Tuya asks her, "Can we treat him if we remove the arrow?" She says yes, and Tuya uses the pulling spell and instantly removes the arrow, then uses the healing spell, and Liam gets up and is fine. Liam introduces himself and tells them he is the head servant of Duke Ortlind and that the girl is his daughter Sushar. Tuya is shocked that everyone kneels before her. They tell him, how can you be this calm? The Duke is the highest noble rank and that title is only used for royal family members. Sushar tells him, yes, my father is Duke Alfred Ornis, and he's the younger brother of the king, but you don't have to speak formally. Just call me Sue, we owe you our lives. Tuya asks her, why is the royal family in a forest like this? She replies that she was coming back from visiting her grandmother. Liam asks them to continue the journey with them to the capital and protect Sushar, and they'll get a reward when they arrive. They all agree since they're heading to the capital anyway. They arrive at the capital of the Kingdom of Belfast, which is called Alphys and is known as the City of Lakes. When they enter the Duke's mansion, they see 2 rows of servants, and Duke Alfred runs to his daughter to make sure she's okay after hearing what happened. He greets Tuya and thanks him for saving his daughter and gets on one knee in front of him. Tuya gets flustered, and then Alfred takes them to the balcony. Tuya tells Alfred that they came to the capital to deliver a letter. He asks the Duke if he has any idea who the attackers were. He replies that many people want to stand in his way because of his position. They probably thought of kidnapping his daughter to threaten him. Sushar enters, and her father asks her if she contacted Eileen. She says yes, but she didn't want to worry her and didn't tell her what happened. Tuya asks, who's Eileen? Alfred says, my wife, and I'm sorry, but you can't see her because she's blind. Tuya asks him sadly, is she sick? He says yes. It happened 5 years ago. She survived but lost her sight. Linza asks him, did you try healing magic? He replies that they tried everything, but nothing worked. It only healed some of the damaged parts of her body. He tells them that his wife's father had special magic that could remove any illness from the body, and the goal of Sue's last trip was to find the secret behind that magic. She thought she could learn it. Sue gets upset and says, I wish we had found someone who can use the same magic as my grandfather. Her father replies, null magic is personal magic, so you won't find someone who can use the same spell, but maybe we can find someone who uses a spell with the same effect. They all get shocked and point at Tuya. Alfred takes Tuya to his wife's room, and Tuya tries the recovery spell. Eileen opens her eyes and cries from joy, saying I can see. They all hug Tuya out of happiness, and Ye tells him that rushing to help others without fear of failure is something truly admirable. After that, Alfred tells him, you saved my daughter and my wife in one day. I hope I can thank you properly. First, he gives him a financial reward for saving his daughter and protecting her. The reward is 40 platinum coins, and everyone is shocked by the number because 1 platinum coin equals 10 gold coins. Tuya is stunned and tells Alfred he can't accept them, it's way too much. Alfred tells him if they plan to continue as adventurers, they'll definitely need the money. He then gives them 4 medals from the Duke's house, and with them, they can pass through anywhere without inspection and use noble class facilities. After that, they say goodbye, and their letter delivery mission is completed too. Before they leave, Tuya asks Ye what she plans to do. She tells him, I've decided to offer myself to you, and they all get shocked. She explains that she means Tuya has great power, and she learned a lot from him, so for the sake of her training, she wants to stay with Tuya. Everyone welcomes her because they all like her. They then decide to go buy some stuff since they're in the capital, and on their way, Tuya sees strange creatures he doesn't recognize, so he asks them what are those. They tell him they're demi-humans, and there are many kinds like elves, dwarves, and beastmen. Then they see a demi-human girl who looks very upset, so Tuya goes and asks her what's wrong. She gets scared of him and backs away. He reassures her and tells her he just saw she looked upset, so he asked. She gets closer again and tells him she's lost and was supposed to meet her sister in a certain place, but she doesn't know how to get there. Tuya takes out his phone, uses the map, and takes her there. They leave them and go shopping. Tuya tells them it's hard to move around as a group like this. Let's split up and meet at a spot after 2 hours. They all agree, and at sunset, everyone has arrived except Tuya. He shows up late and checks the time and finds out he's 25 minutes late, so he apologizes. Ye is surprised that he can tell the time from his phone, and he tells her it's his magic. Els notices he's wearing a new coat, so he tells them it's a coat that boosts magic resistance. They all compliment it and tell him it looks great on him, like it was made for him. Tuya gets flustered and tells them let's head back to Reflay village. The next day, it's raining heavily, and Tuya enters the Silver Moon Inn and finds Tuya's father and Mr. Barrel, the shop owner next door, playing shogi, which Tuya created a few days ago while testing metal shaping magic, and they've been playing it since then. After that, Tuya asks where the others are, so Linza tells him she's in her room upstairs and that Els and Ye went to buy the new sweets from the cafe, and she heard he's the one who gave them the recipe. He tells her yes, and at that moment, Els and Ye arrive and hand out the sweets they brought to everyone. Els gives Tuya a box and tells him go give this to the Duke. You have to share the sweets with the people who supported you. Tuya goes to the Duke's mansion and Sue is very impressed with the sweets. The Duke tells Tuya he's very jealous of the people in Reflay village who get to eat them every day. If I could use the gate spell like you, I'd go buy them every day. Tuya replies that he can teach the palace cooks how to make them, and Sue is thrilled that she'll be able to eat them anytime. Then Tuya teaches the Duke how to play shogi and tells him it's a game played by two people where each one tries to defeat the opponent's king, like chess. When the Duke tries it, he really enjoys it and gets absorbed in it. Sue gets really annoyed because she wants to play too, but her father is so focused and not paying attention to her. She starts tickling Tuya to get him to let her play too, while Alfred is completely focused on the game and doesn't take his eyes off it. At night, he asks Tuya to give him a copy of the game so he can play it with his brother, and he doesn't let him leave the mansion until he plays one more round with him. The next day, Tuya goes with the others to the Adventurers Guild in the royal capital, and they find a lot of quests posted. Tuya picks a mission to eliminate some slime monsters, but everyone refuses because they hate those monsters. So he picks another quest to defeat armored knight monsters. They go and fight the monsters, and one of them is about to attack Els from behind. Ye saves her quickly, and Tuya tells Linza to freeze the monster's leg. She does, and he uses light magic to blow it up. They rest afterward, and Tuya tells them the old royal capital turned out to be empty, there's nothing there. Els replies, I wish we'd find the hidden royal treasure or something like that. Tuya uses the search spell and scans the whole area but finds nothing. Linza tells him to try searching for something else. Maybe not treasure but ruins, for example. He searches again and finds something underground. They all get excited, and Linza uses her fire magic and blasts the ground. They find a depression underground and go down into it. Linza lights up the area with a magic light orb. Then they find inscriptions in a strange language on the wall that they can't read, so Tuya takes a picture with his phone. Then they find a magic stone created with earth magic. Linza tells them it activates if you pass your mana into it. It might be a trap. Els tells Tuya to pass a bit of his mana into it. He's the only one who uses earth magic here. Suddenly, they all step back and leave him alone. Tuya takes the risk and passes his mana into the seal, and the wall with the inscriptions evaporates and a door opens. Inside, they find a strange statue. Tuya wipes the dust off it and finds it's made of very strong glass and has a red orb inside. Tuya is surprised that Linza's light orb starts dimming, and she's also surprised because she knows how to keep it stable for 2 hours. Els realizes that the red orb inside the statue is absorbing mana. Suddenly, the statue moves and forms arms and makes a very loud noise, so Tuya opens a gate and they all escape quickly. Ye tells them she's never seen a magical creature like that before. Suddenly, another explosion happens and the monster bursts out from underground and attacks Tuya. Linza uses fire magic and launches fire arrows at it, but it absorbs them. Ye tries a physical attack and strikes it with her sword, but its shell is too hard. Els jumps on it with her metal gauntlet, but it doesn't affect it. Tuya then tries friction removal magic and makes the monster slip, and tells Linza not to use magic directly on it. She forms an ice block and drops it on the monster, and Els cuts off its limbs. But shockingly, it regenerates its limbs using the mana it absorbed and extends one of its arms to stab Els. Tuya tells them to distract it, and he quickly heals her. He tries to calmly analyze the situation and thinks about the monster's abilities. An idea comes to him, and he tells Els. He goes and stands in front of the monster and uses the pulling spell to extract its core, throws it to Els, and she breaks it, causing the monster to evaporate. After that, Linza suggests they report what happened to the Duke, since this is the Adventurers Guild of the royal capital. They agree and go tell Duke Alfred what happened. He tells them he'll send a team to investigate the matter. Tuya tells them the ruins all collapsed, so the inscriptions they found are gone. He pulls out his phone and shows him the picture, and the Duke asks him for a copy. Tuya tells him he'll bring it tomorrow. The Duke tells him it might be a clue to the mystery of why the capital was relocated. Tuya is surprised that the reason for the capital move is unknown. The Duke explains there are no official documents about the reason. They return home, and Tuya prepares the copies using drawing magic. He teleports to the capital using the gate and is surprised to find the Duke already outside. The Duke tells him it's good you're here. I needed you anyway. My brother the king has been poisoned. Tuya rides the carriage with him, and the Duke tells him that his brother was most likely poisoned by the opposing nobles because of the trade deal with the kingdom of Mismead, a new kingdom ruled by a beast man, and his brother was considering forming an alliance with him. And the thing is, if his brother dies, his daughter Princess Yamina will take the throne. And he's sure that what happened was caused by someone trying to gain power and influence through a political marriage with the princess. Tuya asks him, so what do you want me to do? The Duke tells him he wants him to remove the poison from his brother using the recovery spell he used on Eileen. When they arrive, Alfred gets angry when he sees Count Balsa. Balsa tells him you came at the right time, we managed to catch the culprit. Alfred is surprised, and Balsa tells him it's the ambassador from the kingdom of Mismead, and they're going to behead her immediately. Alfred tells him no, my brother will decide. So Balsa leaves, and Tuya gets annoyed with him and makes him slip down the stairs. On the other side, Princess Yamina is holding her father's hand and crying, surrounded by all the people who love him. Alfred and Tuya enter, and Tuya immediately starts the treatment. The royal mage is shocked that Tuya is using the lost recovery magic. The king wakes up much better than before, and he asks Alfred, "Who's the man with you?" Alfred introduces him and tells him this is the man who restored Eileen's vision and I brought him because I'm sure he can heal you. The king thanks Tuya and everyone is very happy. Guard Captain Leon salutes him, and the mage introduces herself as Charlotte and asks him what other elements he can use. He tells her many, and she gets even more excited to know them, which makes Tuya feel uneasy. Princess Yamina thanks him for saving her father, and Tuya hears the king angrily say, "Why would someone from the kingdom of Miss Mead want to kill me? This crime was done by someone else trying to block my path." Leon tells the king, "But everyone saw you collapse right after drinking the juice sent by the ambassador." The king tells them summon the ambassador. When they bring her before the king, she says, "I am Olga Strand, and I came at your command." Tuya is shocked because she's Arma's sister, the lost girl he helped. Tuya asks them, "Is the room where the king collapsed still untouched?" Leon tells him, "Yes. I ordered no one to touch it." He takes Tuya to the room, and all the food is still there. Leon shows him the juice the king drank. Tuya uses the spell to detect poison, then tells Leon to summon the king, his group, and Balsa too. When Balsa sees the king is well, he's shocked. The king tells him, "Sorry for worrying you." Balsa panics, and Tuya tells them everyone here was present when the king collapsed, which means the culprit is among you. They're all shocked, and Balsa angrily says the ambassador is the one responsible. Tuya holds the juice bottle and says everyone panicked when they saw the king drinking from this. He takes a cup and another bottle of the same juice that's not poisoned and asks Leon to drink from it. Leon drinks and nothing happens. Tuya takes the king's cup and pours from the same confirmed safe bottle and asks Count Balsa to drink from it. Balsa panics, and Tuya tells him, "Don't worry, it's not poisoned." Alfred asks what's wrong, and Balsa stares at the cup in fear. Leon grabs him and makes him drink it by force. Balsa starts choking and begs for help. Tuya tells him, "Stop acting, I already removed the poison from the cup." Balsa is stunned, and Tuya embarrasses him with the question, "Why did you think there was poison?" He tells them simply the poison wasn't in the bottle, it was on the king's cup, and I could tell right away using my poison detection spell. I found the poison was applied to all the cups the king uses. Balsa runs away quickly, and Tuya uses the slipping spell to make him fall. Princess Yamina is very impressed by Tuya, and the king thanks him and tells him he wants to reward him for saving his life. But Tuya tells him there's no need, I was just going to see the duke by chance anyway. Suddenly, Princess Yamina stands up and tells the king and queen, "I've decided. I want to marry him." Tuya is shocked by the mess he's in, and the king asks her, "What made you decide that?" She tells him, "Because he brings happiness to those around him and has an amazing personality. For the first time in my life, I feel like I want to share my life with someone." He tells her, "If that's how you feel, then I can't oppose it. I wish you both happiness." Alfred congratulates them, and the queen decides to throw a party at night. No one even asked Tuya for his opinion. He nervously says, No, how did you all agree so quickly? You don't even know anything about me." The king tells him, "You're right, but since Yamina accepted you, it means you're not a bad person." The queen tells him Yamina has spirit eyes that allow her to see people's personalities. Tuya asks how old the princess is anyway. They tell him 12, and he replies that's too early to be thinking about marriage. They tell him no, the royal family marries at 15. "I married my wife when we were both 14. Yamina grabs him and asks, "Do you hate me?" He tells her no, but in my country I'm not allowed to marry before 18 and I'm still 16. The king tells him no problem, you have 2 years to get to know Yamina better, and if you don't come around in 2 years, we'll give up. Tuya agrees, and the queen tells Yamina, "Try your best in these 2 years to win Tuya's heart." Afterward, Tuya goes to sleep and feels like he's living in a nightmare. Suddenly, the ruler calls him and tells him congratulations on the marriage. Tuya tells him it's not funny, I can't think about marriage at this age. He replies, "Don't say that. In this world, polygamy is normal." Tuya gets even more annoyed and ends the call. The next day, at the Silver Moon Inn, Yamina arrives with Tuya, and the others are shocked that Tuya is going to get married. Yamina introduces herself and tells them, "I'll be living with you all from today." They're all surprised, and Yamina tells them, "Don't speak formally, and I'll try not to get in your way. I want to start by registering with the guild and be qualified to take on quests." They're all shocked, and Tuya asks her in surprise, "Are you sure about what you're saying?" She says yes and yells at him for speaking formally to her. They take her with them on a monkey monster hunting mission, and Tuya still can't process how a princess is going into battle. She tells him, "I thought this was the best way to show you what I can do. I've studied archery and magic." Suddenly, she summons wolves with dark magic and has them scout for their target. Tuya is amazed and she tells him, "I can teach you if you want." Tuya agrees. They find the wolves running away, and behind them appear the monkey monsters. they've fallen into the trap. Yamina shoots arrows at them, Ye cuts them down, Linza burns the rest, but more appear. Tuya uses the slipping spell and Yamina fires more arrows. Then Els enters with her iron fist, and the wolves pounce. Yamina and Linza combine lightning and fire magic to take out the rest. When they return to the inn, Yamina teaches Tuya how to do summoning magic, and he summons a monster. She tells him it won't work unless he forms a pact with the summoned beast. The monster says to her, "A pact with me? You must be joking," and a white tiger appears. Yamina is scared because it's one of the highest ranked monsters anyone could summon. The tiger tells Tuya, "Show me the type and amount of your magical power." He sniffs Tuya and senses a very high level power and tells him, "Touch me and pour your magic energy into me." Tuya does as told, and the tiger is shocked by Tuya's power to the point that he faints. After a bit, he wakes up and bows to Tuya and tells him, "You're fit to be my master and I agree to form a master-servant pact with you, so please name me." Tuya names him Kahaku, which means white tiger in the language of this world. Kahaku likes the name, and Yamina can't believe Tuya made a pact with a beast of that rank. Kahaku asks Tuya for permission to stay by his side always. Tuya tells him, "It's not possible for me to walk around town with a giant white tiger," so Kahaku transforms into a small, very cute form. The others see him and hug him, and Kahaku calls out to Tuya for help. Tuya tells him just bear with them. The next day, they head out on a new quest and everyone is annoyed. Tuya asks them what's wrong. Ye tells him she's not feeling any motivation for this quest, and Els says she can't believe an investigation request about magical beasts ended up involving slime monsters. Linza adds, especially when it's in the castle of a researcher who specializes in slimes. Yamina is also unhappy with the idea, so Tuya tries to motivate them and tells them, "Are you going to let the villagers live in fear? Do we have the right to call ourselves real adventurers if we walk away?" When they arrive, Tuya enters first and tells them the place looks a little creepy but it's safe. Suddenly, a piece of metal falls on his head. He looks at it and finds it's a transforming slime monster. Linza is surprised because she's never seen a slime like that before, and she suggests they search for the man's research. They go up to the first floor and find a book with records related to the research and many properties of slime monsters. When they go to the next floor, they find a group of slime monsters gathered. Linza gets scared, and before she burns the entire building, Tuya stops her and sends Kahaku to attack them, but his attack doesn't affect them. They go up the stairs and are surprised the slimes didn't follow. Yamina tells them maybe they made a settlement there and can't leave it. They continue to the next floor, all irritated by the slimes. Tuya tells them he feels like the researcher was trying to create a special type of slime, and these were his failed experiments. Linza reads in the book that he actually didn't know the properties of each monster until after he made it. They find the researcher's room, but he's already dead, just a skeleton. They decide to burn the building since it's useless and full of monsters. The next day, Tuya takes Kahaku to show him around the city. On the way, they see Ye with a little girl who's crying, so they go to check what's going on. Ye tells him she's lost, but she won't speak to her or say her name. Tuya puts Kahaku in front of her and asks, "What's your name?" Because of his cute appearance, she replies, "Leem." Tuya uses the family search spell but doesn't find anything. Then he gets an idea, pulls out his phone, and uses the map search magic through the phone and finds her location. They go to her mother and find her looking for her and asking the guards. Ye asks Tuya, "What did you use on your phone this time?" He explains to her that the search spell is originally used to search for a lot of things but only within a small range, but the phone can search in a much wider range. She's amazed and tells him, "In that case, can you search for my brother?" They go to a nearby restaurant to talk. Ye tells him she hasn't seen her brother since she started her journey, so she was always worried about him. He asks her to give him more details about their home, and he finds a place called Hashiba. She gets excited and tells him that's it. Then he asks her what her brother looks like, and she tells him he has a scar on his cheek. He finds that he's at a club and walking around. She tells him, "I think that's really my brother. He loves swords a lot." He tells her, "Looks like you really love your brother," and she replies, "Yes, because he's strong and kind and generous. And by the way, you and my brother are alike, calm and generous." Later, when they return to the inn, Linza enters Tuya's room and tells him she went today to the antique shop to learn a new spell. He asks her why, and she tells him, "Because the day we went to the slime castle, I couldn't use fire magic since we were in an enclosed space." She shows him a spell she found there, but it's written in an ancient magical text, so she can't read it or decode it. Tuya creates a pair of glasses and adds the ancient text reading spell to them. He tells her try wearing them and reading. She's shocked that she can now read the spells in it, and she reads a spell called Bubble Bomb and tells him she wants to go try it. Tuya goes with her to the forest, and she tries to cast it but fails. She keeps trying until she runs out of mana and passes out. He takes her back to the inn, and the next day Linza goes to the forest again alone to try. She has dark circles under her eyes from lack of mana. Tuya holds her hand and uses the mana transfer spell he learned from Charlotte to help her. Linza thanks him and continues trying, but she fails again because she can't visualize the spell. He tries to help her and tells her try imagining a bubble like foam in liquid and a bomb means explosion. She tells him no, it's hard, I don't get it. So he says fine. Just imagine a bubble like a soap bubble. She tries it and succeeds, and when she throws it at a tree, it explodes. She thanks him again. Meanwhile, Els is sitting in front of her broken gauntlets, remembering they broke during the last fight with the mysterious monster that came from underground. Tuya tells her if you fix them, they'll just break again. She asks him to take her to the capital to buy a new one. After she buys it, Els sees a dress in a store window and likes it, so she stops to look at it. Tuya asks her, do you want it? She gets flustered and tells him no, it's for Linza, it would suit her. She likes pretty clothes, unlike me. He replies if it suits Linza, then it would suit you too. She gets more flustered and tells him I know myself. I'm not the kind of girl who looks good in those clothes. He takes her and enters the shop to try it on. He tells her it looks amazing on you and asks the shop owner, can we buy this? She's shocked and tells him I'm not buying it. He tells her I'll buy it for you as a gift. When they return to the inn, the other girls love it, and she tells them Tuya bought it for her. They all say let's get him to buy us something too, and Tuya is shocked. Mika comes in with a letter from the royal palace for Yamaina saying she and Tuya must go to the palace to be awarded the title of knight as a reward for resolving the incident that happened a few days ago. They're all shocked that he's going to get a knight title, and Tuya asks her can I refuse? They're all shocked that he wants to refuse. Yamaina replies yes, but in that case, you'll have to give a reason publicly. Tuya is frustrated that he has to go anyway. The next day, Tuya is surprised by the huge mansion the king gave him as a reward. When they enter, Tuya tells them it's too big for just 5 people. Els, Linza, and Ye are shocked and ask him, are we going to live here with you? He tells them of course. Els tells him but this is the house you got from the king as a gift, and you're supposed to live here with Yamaina. A staying wouldn't be proper. He tells them I love you all equally and consider you my family. They all get flustered and run away, and Yamaina says I understand. You love all 4 of us equally. I hope to be your wife and share your life, and I don't intend to keep you all to myself. Then she leaves and goes after the girls to talk to them. Tuya goes out to sit with Kahaku in the garden, and the girls return. Els asks him are you really okay with us living here? He says yes. Linza asks him so you won't tell us to leave later? Ye asks him will you treat us the same way you treat Yamaina? He says of course. They get happy and Yamaina tells them we'll continue our discussion later. Tuya doesn't understand what they're talking about. Then they go to meet the mansion's servants, and their leader is named Lime, the brother of Lime, Sushi's servant. The maids are named Lapis and Cecily. Yamaina tells Tuya that Lime was in charge of caring for her father for many years. Tuya is surprised that the king's servant himself came to serve at his mansion. Lime tells him I took the opportunity to pass on my duties to my son, and I hope to spend the rest of my life serving the man who saved my younger brother. Duke Alfred and Sushir arrive. They came to visit Tuya. Sushir tells Tuya I'm surprised that you're getting married. Alfred adds, me too. I was planning to marry you to my daughter Sushir. Sushir tells him I agree. Tuya gets nervous and tells them don't exaggerate the matter. Alfred tells him I actually came to ask you for something else. He says our country decided to form an alliance with the kingdom of Mismead, and that means we'll need to prepare a chance for both kings to talk together, but traveling between the 2 countries is difficult and full of dangers. Yamaina deduces that they want to use Tuya's gate spell. Tuya explains that he can only open a gate to places he's visited before. Alfred replies and that's why we want you to travel to Mismead. Tuya goes to meet Garen, the commander of Mismead's forces, and with him is Leon Blitz, a member of the First Knights of the Kingdom of Belfast. They begin their journey, and at night they camp in the forest. Tuya tells them a few stories. Suddenly, one of Garen's soldiers hears bandits approaching. Tuya opens his phone map and finds they're 28 in number. He tries a spell to mark them on the map and uses a paralysis spell on them, which works. They capture all of them and decide to send someone to fetch the town guards to imprison them. Olga walks in on them while they're talking, and Leon gets nervous and runs off. Tuya realizes he likes her. Ye asks do you think Olga knows about Leon's feelings? Els replies I think she's noticed. She doesn't look as dense as a certain someone. Suddenly, they all look at Tuya but he doesn't understand why. The next day, they see Leon in the market looking for a gift for Olga. Tuya approaches and asks him are you buying a gift for someone? Leon gets flustered and tells him yes. For my mother. Alma is with them, and Tuya tells her choose something, I'll buy it for you as a gift. She picks a hairpin and Tuya pays for it. Then he asks her in front of Leon, if Olga were to choose one of these, which would she pick? She points at a hairpin shaped like an Ilios flower and tells him she loves it. Tuya says goodbye to Leon and leaves, and they see him buying the same hairpin Alma pointed at. When they return to the carriage, Tuya feels something around him. He asks Kahaku, am I imagining things? Kahaku replies via telepathy no, I felt it too. Someone is watching us but hiding completely. Then Tuya and Yamaina notice that Olga is wearing the hairpin Leon bought. Yamaina tells her it looks good on you. I hope I get something like that from the man I love. Tuya dodges the topic and leaves them and gets into the carriage. That night, they camp a little before the village of Ilda. Suddenly, they hear animals in the forest running away, and then they see a massive dragon flying above them. Garen is shocked and Olga explains to them that dragons are supposed to live in specific regions of our country and never leave their areas unless there's an intruder. Tuya opens his phone and sees the dragon heading toward Ilda village. They rush to the village and find the dragon burning it, and the villagers are in a panic. Garen and the guards go in and help the survivors escape. Tuya uses light magic to attract the dragon, rides on Kahaku with Linza, and leads it out of the village to the forest. Suddenly, Kahaku shouts at the dragon and says, "How dare you insult my master?" Tuya is surprised that Kahaku understands what the dragon is saying. Kahaku tells him the dragon said, "Filthy worms, how dare you spoil my fun? I'll crush you all now." Tuya decides to kill it and tells Linza, "I'll bring it down. You cut its wing." He uses double light magic and brings it to the ground. Linza uses the ice sword technique and cuts off its wings. Just before the dragon breathes fire on her, Tuya grabs her and saves her. Suddenly, Ye and Els arrive and attack the dragon. Tuya jumps after them but his sword breaks from the dragon's tough body. Before the dragon can fire a flame ball at him, someone throws a dagger in its eye and blinds it. Tuya uses the slipping spell. He asks Ye and Els to stall for time and tells Linza to make an ice wall in front of him. He reshapes the wall into a lens and casts light magic through it, concentrating the beam on the dragon, burning it until it dies. Suddenly, another dragon appears, this one red. Strangely, it apologizes for what the other dragon did. Tuya is surprised that this dragon can talk. The dragon introduces himself and says, "I'm the red dragon who rules the great earth, and I came to retrieve the rampaging dragon." Kahaku tells him ask the blue monarch to raise his kin properly. The dragon is shocked that the one speaking is the white monarch and tells him, "If you're here, it makes sense how the other dragon died." Kahaku replies, "Don't get it wrong, the one who defeated him was my master because that rude dragon dared to insult him." The dragon is shocked again that the white monarch has a master. He lands on the ground, apologizes to Tuya for the rudeness, and begs him for forgiveness. Tuya tells him it's okay as long as we know why it happened, but make sure you discipline the young dragons so they don't do it again. After the dragon leaves, Tuya looks beside him and finds the girls on the ground, terrified. He asks them what's wrong. They reply in shock, "How are you not scared talking to a dragon?" He tells them it was a simple matter. They return to the village, help the people, and treat the wounded. The next day, Leon is surprised and says to Garen they defeated a dragon, just the four of them, and even used healing magic on all the villagers. "I'm shocked." Garen tells him not only that, they donated all the dragon materials to the village, and each piece could sell for over 10 gold coins. Leon says, "I don't know who they really are, but I'll bow my head to them in respect." The village chief comes to thank Tuya personally for saving them from the dragon and gives him the dragon's fang as a gift, saying it's for your broken weapon. You can use it to craft a new one or sell it and buy another sword. Then he gives him the strange dagger that was thrown into the dragon's eye before it fired. On their way, Tuya asks Kahaku through telepathy, "Was there someone else in the battle?" Kahaku tells him, "Yes. I sensed one or two people among the trees. I thought they were villagers." When they reach the capital of the kingdom of Mismead, the king tells Olga well done, and thanks Garen and Leon for protecting Olga until she reached the kingdom. Then he says, "I heard you defeated the dragon that attacked Ilda village." Yamina responds, "Yes. The four standing in front of you were the ones who killed the dragon themselves." He asks her, "Who are you?" She introduces herself, and he's shocked to find the princess of the kingdom of Belfast standing before him. She tells him this proves the importance of our alliance and hands him a letter written by her father. He says, "I'll think about it and send you the reply. Enjoy your time at my palace as you like." Then he laughs and tells Tuya, "Since you defeated the dragon, how about a duel?" He takes him to the arena and does some warm-ups. The king's assistant tells Tuya that when the king sees someone strong, he gets really excited to fight him, and honestly, we're annoyed by it, so please destroy him. Tuya is surprised. How can he say that about his king? The referee tells them the match will begin and will go on until one side suffers a serious injury or one side surrenders. Magic is allowed, but direct offensive spells on the opponent are forbidden. But the king arrogantly tells Tuya, "Don't hold back. Use anything you want to beat me." As soon as the referee signals the start, Tuya uses the slipping spell and the king falls to the ground, and Tuya puts his sword on his neck. The king gets angry and says, "Wait, what did you just do?" Tuya tells him, "That's one of my spells. You only said offensive magic was forbidden." The king replies, No, that spell will be banned too. Let's restart the match." They begin a second duel and clash with wooden swords. But King Jamuka has the advantage since his body is much stronger than Tuya's. Tuya tries to use the earth spell but doesn't finish it, and the king pushes him. But the earth spell was a distraction, and Tuya uses light magic. The king quickly backs off, and Tuya uses the strengthening spell and attacks. Suddenly, the king uses a spell called Excel that boosts his speed immensely, he disappears and appears behind Tuya. Tuya dodges the strike quickly and the king tells him well done. Tuya asks was that a null spell? The king says yes. It enhances agility but consumes a lot of mana, so you can't use it continuously. Tuya is impressed and tries it. The king is shocked that he was able to steal such a personal spell. Tuya appears behind him and tells him controlling it is hard but I figured it out. He uses it again, and the king is forced to keep up. They both vanish from sight, engaging in an ultra-fast clash. But the king still has much more physical power. Tuya combines speed and strengthening spells and tries again. They disappear again, and suddenly they reappear with Tuya holding his sword at the king's neck. He wins. The king laughs and tells him I'm amazed you managed to perform my spell. That night, the king throws a party and Tuya and the others wear the clothing of Miss Mead's people. The king tells him those clothes suit you well. The girls compliment him too. Tuya tells them you all look very nice too. He pulls out his phone and takes pictures of them. The king asks him what's that? Tuya tells him it's one of my spells that lets me capture an image and store it. The king is shocked and asks him can you print it? Tuya gets a piece of paper and prints it using magic. The king is amazed and asks him to take a picture of him too. Everyone gets photographed, and Tuya spends the rest of the party printing the pictures. Then he goes to rest, and suddenly he sees a teddy bear moving and signaling him to follow. It leads him to a room where he finds a girl. She tells the bear you brought a strange guest, Paula. She asks Tuya who are you? He introduces himself, and she realizes he's the one who killed the dragon because she heard about it. He asks her back and she tells him I'm one of the elders of the fairy tribes. My name is Lean. I may look young, but I'm much older than you, over 600 years. Tuya is very surprised and asks her is Paula a summoned beast? She tells him no, it's a real doll, but it moves thanks to a null magic spell called Program. Then she explains it's a magic that lets her control any object through a set of commands. She demonstrates it with a chair and programs it to move forward when someone sits on it. Tuya asks so if you program Paula to fly, would it work? She says no, he's not strong enough to do that. Program magic can only perform simple tasks. But if you wanted to move a model bird's wing, it would work. Tuya tells her let me try, and she's surprised. He uses the spell on the chair and gives it a command to move backward 2 steps if someone sits on it. He sits, and the chair moves back. Lean is shocked he could do it and tells him your magical talent is incredible. She asks him what elements can you use besides null magic. He tells her all of them. She replies I'm not surprised. Then she tells him I've decided, you'll be my student. He apologizes and runs away quickly. When he gets back to his room to rest, he gets an idea to try using the program spell he just learned. The next day, Yamina and Linza see him going out. He tells them he's going to buy some things, and they go with him. Afterward, they head to the forest, and Tuya asks Linza to cut the dragon's fang for him to craft a weapon. He uses reshaping magic and crafts gun parts and assembles them. Then he makes bullets and uses the program spell on the gun to make it fire the bullets. When he tests it, he misses the target. He adjusts the barrel's aim and tries again. It works. He uses magic to reload the weapon without any effort and tells them this is called a gun. It's a weapon used from long range. They're all impressed and ask him to make guns for them too. He opens his phone and tells them choose a design from here and makes a pistol for each of them. Then he modifies his gun to have 2 modes, a sword mode and a gun mode, so he can fight from both close and far range. He names the weapon Brunhild. Around sunset, they decide to go have dinner. Kahaku notices someone watching them, so Tuya decides to greet them. Kahaku tells him they're on the roof of a building. Tuya tells the girls to go ahead. He has something to do. He uses Excel and appears behind them quickly. They throw a flash bomb and run. He opens the map and tracks them, then uses Excel again and appears in front of them. Before they throw another flash bomb, he fires rubber bullets at them. They fall and he ties them up. He's surprised to find they're Lapis and Cecily. They tell him they're from Espion, a spy unit that works directly under the King of Belfast. They were ordered to monitor and protect Princess Yamina. Tuya pulls out the dagger that hit the dragon's eye and asks them. Lapis tells him it belongs to Cecily. She's a knife-throwing expert. Tuya asks them what are we going to do now? Lapis tells him we'll continue protecting the princess from the shadows like we've been doing, so please keep it a secret. He asks what would happen if she finds out. Cecily tells him if she finds out, she'll get really mad at the king and it'll become a national issue. Tuya returns to the girls at the restaurant, and they try the city's food. It turns out to be very spicy. The next day, Lean takes everyone with her to search for certain ruins she wants to see, but she tells them I don't know the exact location. All I know is that it's called the ruins of Niruya. Ye tells her maybe my father knows where it is, so she says let's go to him quickly, and they head to the kingdom of Edo. On the way, Tuya asks her is there a king in Isan? She tells him technically yes, but each region is governed by a lord. Lean asks her who's the lord of this area, and she replies Tokugawa Ayasho. Tuya is surprised by the name. Elle sees people carrying a girl on a chair and is puzzled. Tuya tells her that's a kagaya. They're people you pay to carry you to your destination. They're also surprised that people are wearing wooden shoes, and Tuya tells them those are called Geta. Ye tells him you know a lot about this place even though you were born outside Isan. Ye feels there's something strange in the air. When Ye enters her house, Ayane welcomes her warmly and calls for Nanai, her mother. When she sees her, she gets happy and hugs her tightly. Ye asks her about her father and she tells her he went to war with Ayasho. Ye asks who are they fighting. Ayane tells her the Takeda because their army suddenly advanced a few days ago, so your father went to Kawaga Castle with your brother Jotaro to intercept them. Ye asks Tuya for help to rescue her brother and father. When they reach the location of the castle, Tuya opens his phone and tells her I don't know about your father, but your brother is fine. She says let's hurry to them. Lean stops her and says any reckless move will cause damage. Tuya tells her I'll use the deep sensing spell to scan 1 kilometer around and teleport multiple times until I reach the castle and open a gate for you. On the other side, the castle is surrounded by zombie soldiers, and Tuya is surprised when he sees them. At the same time, one of the soldiers tells Jotaro the enemies keep coming back no matter how many we defeat and we can't hold them. There are rumors that they stop if we break their masks but it's not confirmed yet. Tuya enters through the gate and Jotaro points his sword at him instantly. Tuya raises his hand and tells him I'm not an enemy, you're Ye's brother Kokono Jotaro, right? He says yes. How do you know Ye? Tuya tells him we're friends and I came here to help you. He asks him where is Ye now? Tuya opens a gate and Ye enters and hugs her brother. He asks her who are these people with you? She tells him they're my friends, all trustworthy, and you can rely on them. She asks about their father and he tells her he's safe and guarding Ayasho. Tuya notices many wounded soldiers, so he pulls out his phone, locates them all, and uses his healing magic. They're all surprised. Then Tuya asks Jotaro who are the people wearing masks outside. He tells him I don't know, they're supposed to be dead, but I think they stop if we destroy their masks. Lean tells them they're man-made, like relics of an ancient civilization and powerful magical tools, like the phone you have too. Tuya opens his phone and sees their numbers are massive. He marks them all and uses light magic to wipe them out. Everyone is more amazed and the soldiers celebrate. Then they go meet Lord Ayasho, who thanks them for their help. Mr. Kokono tells Ye I can't believe you're personally protecting Princess Yamaina. She tells him these are the results of my training. Then Tuya asks them will the Takeda army retreat after what happened. Ayasho tells him they might attack again after regrouping, and we heard rumors that Shingen is already dead and that right now the strategist of darkness, Yamamoto Kensuke, is leading the undead army. Lean tells him he's probably using an artifact or magic to control the corpses. Tuya asks if we capture Yamamoto, will this all end? He says most likely yes, but Kensuke is holed up in a fortress and we haven't located it yet. Suddenly, they hear a voice say then let me guide you there. A girl drops from the ceiling and tells them I bring a secret message for Tokugawa Ayasho. My name is Tsubaki, servant of Kosaka Masanobu, one of the 4 main Takeda generals. They read the letter and find out the 4 generals of Takeda are being held in an underground prison except for Kosaka. Tsubaki tells them Kosaka is pretending to follow Kensuke's orders in hopes of restoring the Takeda clan. Ayasho thinks they're not obligated to help the Takeda, but if they don't stop what's happening, the Tokugawa will suffer too. Tuya tells him leave this to us. He thinks if they use the gate spell, they'll be detected. So he asks Lean about the spell she uses to hide her wings. She tells him I can also hide the entire body. Tuya decides to take Tsubaki and Lean with him. Els tells him don't rush and go during the day or you'll get exposed. Ye says I want to go home and reassure my family about father and brother. Linza tells him we also need to get food for the soldiers here. Tuya says you're right. Lean says it's hard to believe the gifted man who wiped out such a massive number of enemies is now being so practical. Mr. Kokono tells them allow me to prepare horses for you. Tuya tells him no need and asks Tsubaki to imagine the castle so he can read her thoughts and teleport them there. That night, they head to the Takeda base, and Lean hides herself and Tuya. Tuya opens a gate inside the castle but finds himself pushed back to the same place. Lean tells him maybe Kensuke created a barrier around the area to block magic. He asks will that cancel your invisibility? Lean tells him no, it only cancels spells targeting buildings. Tsubaki suggests destroying the barrier, but Lean tells her no, if we break it, will draw attention. They head directly to the prison, and Tsubaki bows before a man named Baba and tells him I came to rescue you under orders from Kosaka. She introduces him to Tuya and Lean. She asks where are Nato and Yamagata. He tells her in the rear cells. Tuya uses the reshaping technique on the bars, turns them into a door, and frees Baba. Then they go and release Nato and Yamagata. Tuya tells them we plan to capture Yamamoto Kensuke. Tuya asks Lean can we destroy the barrier? She tells him there should be a seal somewhere. If we disable it, the barrier will be gone. They tell him they know where the seal is and they head there. When they arrive, Tuya destroys the seal and opens the map to locate Kensuke. He marks all the nearby guards and eliminates them so no one can stop them from facing Kensuke. Tuya opens a gate and they find Kensuke standing at the door waiting. They attack him and suddenly Kensuke he animates Shinjin's corpse to fight them. They get furious and can't bring themselves to strike out of respect for Shinjin's body. Kensuke exploits that. Tuya fires at it and destroys the mask, making Kensuke lose control. Kensuke is surprised but then removes his eye patch to reveal a red eye and tells them as long as I have this stone, I'll never die. It's the same artifact he uses to make corpses immortal. Tuya uses the pulling technique and snatches the eye, gives it to Lin. She tells him it's cursed with a heart-corrupting spell. Artifacts are precious, but we must destroy this one. She throws it and Tuya shoots it. Kensuke vanishes. The next day, they ask Baba about the location of the Niria ruins, and he tells them they're at the bottom of the sea. Tuya uses mind reading to learn the location from his thoughts. They return to Ye's home so she can say goodbye to her family, and Tuya opens a gate to the sea they're heading to, and they're all amazed by the sight. Tuya tries diving into the sea to search for the ruins Lin wanted, and he sees a temple underwater, but he can't hold his breath for long and comes up quickly. He asks Lin if there's a spell that would let him breathe underwater. She tells him I've heard of one, but I never bothered to learn how it works. She calls for Charlotte and asks her, but she can't remember the name of the spell or how it works. Kahaku tells Tuya I have an idea. I know someone who can control water well and could solve all your problems. And that's my counterpart, the Black Emperor. So Lin draws a summoning spell and tells Kahaku that summoning magic normally can't call a specific person. Kahaku says Tuya will combine his spiritual power with mine, and the Black Emperor will sense it and answer the call. He tells Tuya be careful. I don't know what they'll ask in return to form a pact with you. Tuya is surprised he said they, and Kahaku tells him it's 2 in 1. You'll understand when you summon them. Tuya begins the summoning, and a turtle and a snake appear. They greet Kahaku and are surprised to see him here. The snake asks him who is this person. Kahaku introduces Tuya. The turtle says to him you took a human as your master. You've fallen so low. Kahaku replies say what you want, but soon he'll be your master too. The turtle tells Tuya let's test you. The test is you'll fight us, and if you can last until sunset without losing a limb, we'll form a pact with you. Tuya agrees, and Lin warns him, but he tells her don't worry. The snake is impressed by Tuya's bravery. Suddenly, Tuya uses the slip spell, and then he uses the program spell on one of his bullets so it continues to attack and activates the slip spell. He fires it at them, and they keep slipping endlessly while he relaxes until they give up and admit defeat. The turtle then asks him to form a pact with them. Tuya names them Koku and Sango. The snake says I'll take the name Koku. Then Kahaku tells them to shrink like him because they can't walk around with him at that massive size. They shrink, and Tuya is amazed that they can fly. By sunset, he decides to try diving underwater again. Koku and Sango create a barrier around him so he can breathe and walk normally underwater. When he enters the temple, he finds a circle surrounded by pillars. Koku tells him try channeling your magic into it. When he does, he finds himself transported to another place, surrounded by a garden. He sees a girl slowly and calmly approaching him. She tells him I'm from the remote unit that controls the aerial Babylon garden, and my name is Francesca. Tuya asks her, where exactly are we? She tells him this is the floating garden of Babylon in the sky, and she takes him with her to show him they really are in the sky. He asks her, what's the purpose of this place? She tells him it's a garden built by Professor Regina Babylon as a hobby, just like she created us too. Tuya is surprised by the word created, and Sango tells him she's not human. He doesn't sense life inside her. Shiska tells him I was created as a control unit for this garden, and that happened 5,000 years ago. He asks her, so you're a machine? She replies, not entirely a machine. Some of my vital parts are made with magic, so I'm a mix between a machine and a magical living being. Tuya asks her if the garden deteriorated or had problems over time. She replies everything here is sustained by magic, and I'm always on alert, so maintaining the garden has become automatic. Tuya is surprised since he's here inside it. She tells him, right now you are considered a threat, but I recognized you as a compatible individual. From now on, Unit 23 named Francesca will transfer to your command. He asks her, what do you mean by compatible? She tells him no one can pass through the magic circle you came from unless they can use all the elements like the professor. She designed it to hand us over to someone compatible who could bypass the magic circle, and the professor said she would leave the final decision to us, and I decided to be yours. Tuya feels like he's fallen into a new mess, and on the other side, the girls are very worried about him. Lin tells them since he hasn't come back yet, that must mean everything is going well. Suddenly, Tuya opens a gate and brings them into the garden. They're all amazed by the garden's appearance and Lin tells them it resembles the ruins of the ancient Partheno civilization, which was an advanced civilization that created many spells and tools like magical artifacts, and this garden is an artifact. Yamina suggests the girls let Tuya and Lin do their work and go for a walk. On their way, She asks them, remember the topic we discussed before when we moved into the mansion? They all get nervous remembering when she asked, you all love Tuya, right? Their faces turn red and they try to act like they don't love him. Yamaina says to Els, you always look at the clothes he bought you and get very happy. Then to Linza, she says you're always following him to see where he's going. Then to Ye, you always go to Tuya to heal you whenever you get hurt, even though Linza can use healing magic. Then she tells them I'm not upset about this, because it means Tuya has 3 companions who support and trust him, and I don't think it would be right for me to monopolize him. I also don't think I'll be able to support him in everything alone from now on, so I don't want to restrict him over something petty like possessiveness. Suddenly, she asks them, do you want to be Tuya's brides? They get flustered and can't respond, and Yamaina postpones the topic. They tell her we haven't forgotten, and she asks them, have you sorted out your feelings about this? They get nervous again and Yamaina asks Linza, your heart beats faster when you're with Tuya, right? She replies yes. Then she says to Els, you always have your eyes on him, and she replies you're right. Then she says to Ye, you're always nervous when you're with him. Then she says I want to support him together with all of you, so I'll ask again, do you want to be Tuya's brides? At the same time, Tuya asks Lin, did you find what you were looking for? She tells him I was hoping to find some ancient spells, but what I found is even better. This garden has lasted 5,000 years with flowers that never die. Tuya asks Shiska if there's anything else besides the garden. She replies unfortunately no treasure or weapons, but this garden was originally split into several floating zones in the sky, and my sisters control and manage them. The girls enter, and Yamaina says this means the existence of these gardens could cause panic among people. Shiska replies the gardens are protected by magical barriers that prevent anyone from seeing them. Tuya asks her how many zones are there. She tells him besides this garden, there's a library and a laboratory and others. There were 9 in total, but I don't know how many are left now. Lean gets excited about the library idea because it must contain lots of ancient information. Lean asks her, can you contact the other islands? She replies my sisters have cut off communication for now. Linza suggests that maybe Tuya's phone can locate them. Tuya tries but finds nothing. Lean tells them that means we have to search for all their magic circles. They ask Shiska, do you know where they are? She says no. Suddenly, Linza stands up and says to Tuya, I love you. The next day, Tuya is in his room, feeling really nervous. He hears a knock on the door and cautiously opens it to find Yamaina. When she comes in, she asks him, what do you think of Linza? Tuya gets nervous and says, I think she's sweet, and honestly, I was happy when she confessed, but I haven't even made up my mind about you yet. And suddenly Linza confessed, but I love her and care for her. Then suddenly Linza says, you heard that, didn't you Linza? Linza appears, and Tuya is shocked she was hidden using Lin's technique. Yamaina tells him, this is your fault for locking yourself up in your room and not giving her a reply. You don't know she spent all that time crying because she thought you hated her. He apologizes to Linza and explains that he doesn't hate her and that he loves her. Yamaina asks him, now that you two have confessed, what do you think about marrying Linza? Tuya is surprised, and Yamaina tells him it's common for nobles, royals, and major merchants to have multiple wives. Linza says she doesn't mind, as long as she can be his wife. Tuya agrees. The next day, Els barges into Tuya's room angrily and tells him to come with her. She takes him to the palace garden where Ye is waiting. They tell him, you're going to fight us now, and if you win, you won't speak a word about what happened. But if we win, you'll do a favor for each of us. Tuya feels forced into the fight. Ye attacks first, and he blocks her strike and dodges Els' blow. He shoots rubber bullets at Ye, and Els jumps on him, so he grabs her and throws her down. Suddenly, he finds his gun is empty. He looks at his ammo pouch and sees it's been cut, and Els gets up and punches him, knocking him out. After a while, he wakes up and Els nervously tells him, you're now in the same place as Yamaina and Linza, and both of them confess their love and ask to marry you. He's surprised they did all that just for this, and Yamaina shows up and tells him, I realized this wouldn't work out unless we did it this way. Tuya tells them, I definitely like you all, but can you let me think for a bit? They feel guilty for pressuring him all this time and decide to give him space to think. He goes to sit in the garden and wonders if he's capable of playing the role of a husband properly. Shiska hears him saying, duty, and remembers that Regina left a message for him. She opens her hand and pulls out a connector for his phone and tells him, I don't know what this is, but Regina said to show it to you and you'll understand. Tuya plugs it into his phone, and a recorded hologram appears. He's shocked as the professor says, glad you made it, Tuya. You're probably wondering how I know your name. I have a tool that lets me see the future, so I knew you were coming. I saw myself talking to you in the future and I already know your responses, so I'm answering as if this is a conversation. The important part is that I saw a time where I couldn't see the future anymore, and that's because strange creatures called the phrase suddenly appeared. Tuya realizes that the course of the future and events changed from her time because of the phrase. She says exactly, and that's why the world was going to be destroyed and I couldn't see beyond that. But surprise, The world didn't get destroyed because the phrase suddenly vanished and I don't know why. And that's why I could see the future again. I'm happy that my entertainment didn't end. Your situation with the girls around you is very amusing. Toya asks her about his future with the 4 girls. She says it wouldn't be fun if you knew, so I won't tell you, and the recording ends. Are you a love expert? When she shows up, she tells him, your love life is so interesting that I've been watching you. Toya asks her for advice, and she tells him forget everything you know about your old world and accept the rules of the new one you're in. If you love 4 people at the same time and want to make them happy, that's real love, and it's important that you care for them but never lie to yourself. Toya understands and knows what he has to do. He returns to the world and asks Kahaku to gather the 4 girls. He tells them, I'm not going to marry you. They all get angry and can't believe what they're hearing. Then he says, let me finish. I'm not going to marry you right now. I don't think it's right to go with the flow and marry all of you, because I'm not mature enough yet and I can't carry the responsibility of others' lives yet, and I don't have any plans for the future. So I want you to wait a bit. They understand his feelings, agree, and decide to wait.